What's up, man? Hello.
Come on, get him!
How's it going? It's alright. I just finished up the Neo 3 videos for the embargo lift in a couple hours. That's why I haven't been streaming.
Come on, get him!
Nippon Ichi Software. Usually when they, the games don't get PC ports until they localize it for the rest of the world. The exception of, some of the East games, like East 10 and Proud Nordics, got, Asian versions, but they don't seem to want to do that much. Because the port of East 10, the Asian one, that had the Korean support and everything, was terrible. I think it made them reconsider doing that regularly. The game hasn't been announced for localization yet, but I'm sure they will. It's just not today. The East 10 and Proud Nordics had ports before they came over here, but they did a terrible job, so most likely maybe they're not going to do that anymore, because I know Falcom wasn't happy about that. The East 10 port, the East 8 port was really bad until they outsourced it to GP3 or whatever they're called, Durante's company. And that basically ruined the reputation of the series for a while. So maybe they only want to keep it console for now because I heard the Proud Nordics port was better, but still not as good as the NISA published ones. And this game's got a lot less goodwill to burn through than like a game like Borderlands 4, where people complain about the bad port and then still buy it. Which is exactly what happened with East 10, the Asian version, the one published by Clouded Leopard. It was so bad they had to stop selling it. It was literally Weeb Trash Arkham Knight. So that's probably why. I'm sure it will get an official PC port, but the East 8 was the only port in the East series that had like a below positive rating because the port was a disaster. They rushed it way too much and it wasn't ready to be sold. It was basically unplayable. It wasn't just like nitpicky stuff like frame rate or stuttering or whatever. I mean, you couldn't play it. The game kept crashing out of the tutorial, so it was basically unplayable. It goes a little bit farther than, you know, maybe this takes too long to load, or, you know, maybe it doesn't run like it should. I mean, it basically didn't work at all, so no, Falcom was not happy when Clouded Leopard dropped that crap port of East 10 that, you know, barely anybody could run. You know, they might actually announce it at the Direct. Supposedly there's a Nintendo Direct next week. I wouldn't be surprised if it's announced there. They're definitely not going to shadow drop it, though. That's just straight up not happening. It's probably going to come out, like, maybe second quarter over here. Because apparently the English translation is not done. Game looks pretty decent. I was watching somebody play it last night. Looks like it might be a nice palate cleanser after 80 hours of Dynasty Warriors Origins, where everything has a billion HP. And there's like no builds whatsoever. I definitely wouldn't expect it to be good mechanically. I couldn't really tell from the way the guy was playing. It might have some sauce, but I wouldn't really be why I would be buying it. We just need more people making Musou games to begin with, because right now it's only one company. Used to be a lot of companies making Musou games, but about like 6 years ago they all stopped. So I'm I'm all for supporting something that may not be as good, but to get some variety again, competition would be good.
Come on, get him!
Yeah, Nisa doesn't really do day one PC ports for the most part, unless it's, I think they did it with Trails. Doing it with Trails, but with East, they don't. Disgaea is kind of a unique case because I think they did do a day one port, but Disgaea 7, but the problem is, Switch 2 got like a major expansion, a new version, and they didn't give the PC players that, so... You're looking at the first game that the Streets of Rage 4 team made, that I'm in the credits for. I'm in the credits of all three of their games, but they just put out a major update a couple days ago, so I'm playing it because they added tag mode. They added tag mode. You know how much I love my tag combos, so I figured this would be a themed stream. I'm gonna do this, some Absalom, maybe some Orochi or Basara, depending on how much energy I got. I don't really expect people to donate. I'm not really expecting it. especially because it's kind of a lot of money. I'm just kind of streaming for fun. Yeah, if people want to help, that's cool. I'm not gonna crash out if people don't. But I've been working on Neo 3 stuff, so I haven't really had a lot of time to stream. Yeah, it just came out a couple hours ago. It looks decent. Yeah, I don't really expect people to turn up for this or want to donate. Hey, if they want to, that's cool. If not, I'll probably get it in a few days. I'll get paid. It's only on console right now. It's not in English. It's not in English yet. They said later. I actually don't know if it has English. It might. I've heard it's supposed to be later, but I haven't been able to find any footage. Who would have thought that making a game that looks like that and having like ridiculous amounts of DLC would make people not want to buy it? The game does not look worth what they're charging for it, and the crazy amounts of DLC it has as well. I think they're delusional, to be honest. I mean, to be fair, the only people making Musou games right now is Koei Tecmo, and their games don't get steep discounted, so I think that they thought they could do it, but they could charge that much, but their DLC is, they have like way more than Koei Tecmo games do. The only reason I want to support it is because it does look fun, and it kind of fixes the problem I had with Origins, where like, the combat was good, but the RPG elements in the builds got, like, completely gutted, and the game isn't very fun to play after the first playthrough. You could tell with Origins, the way that they designed it is, like, we need to make the first playthrough, like, really fun, because that's where the reviewers are going to stop, and, like, I'm not glazing journalists. I'm not glazing journalists, because, honestly, I got the review key for that like 4 days before it came out, and I slaved away at those videos, man. There was just not enough time for me to really do a good job. You can tell they did not care about what people, about the rest of the game. You kind of stop unlocking things, and the unlockables are basically just, you know, accessories that increase your stats. So I think for that purpose, the Disgaea Musou would be pretty good, but I wouldn't expect it to have like Hussar level combat. But I do want it to succeed, because there's only like one company making Musou games right now. But the problem with Disgaea Musou is how much it costs and how much DLC it has compared to how it looks. It looks like, no joke, an indie game. Like a Unity indie game. And they want like an exorbitant amount of money for it. I think they're in for a big thing. I don't see anybody talking about it. Obviously, we're English speakers, so a lot of people aren't going to be talking about it just on the basis of that. It doesn't seem to be doing too well so far. I think there would be like a lot more videos and stuff out. I think the problem is also that it's like Origins, you only have like one guy to play as, and Disgaea, despite being a turn-based strategy, has a lot of characters and moves and stuff. The moves in those games are already pretty crazy. They're like tokusatsu level craziness. So the fact that it is a Musou, a lot of people have been complaining about it. I'm of the opinion that Disgaea has always worked well for a Musou, just because it's already very tokusatsu inspired. A lot of the crazy animations and stuff, it's not really that much of a departure. And also, the games are literally about how busted you can get. You know, it's just turn-based, so, you know, it's not as crazy as, like, what I'm currently playing, but there is a lot of potential there. I think a lot of people lost interest when they found out it's just one guy. I don't know, if it does well, they'll probably, like, expand it, have, like, probably have, like, more characters. Yeah, but the price they're charging for it is crazy. I looked at all the DLC. I'm like, what makes you think people like that in Koei Tecmo games? Warriors Abyss is a good example. The DLC for Warriors Abyss is so dumb because it's costumes. Now, the problem is not the costumes. It's more the pricing. The fact that they are recycled from the old games. The games from like 10 years ago. And then also, it's like a bird's eye view game, so you can't even see them. Like, I'm not paying $30 for that, man. I'm sorry. Stuff like skins and things like Overwatch is already kind of pushing it, because the only thing you're ever going to see is your character's arms, and then you see their full body like only when you win or in the post-match screen. But like, I think that is much worse. Warriors Abyss DLC is kind of a meme. I'm glad that they're doing like an actual paid DLC, because they've done like so many free updates for it, but I don't know of a single person who bought those costumes. Chance of a Basara? I mean, last year was the 20th anniversary, and they did absolutely nothing. They didn't even do a remaster, so I would say it's dead. I think it's permanently dead at this point. Keep in mind, Capcom put out Mega Man Battle Network collections, and they sold crazy amounts. Mostly because they actually made it better than the emulator, meaning that they had like full net play and a bunch of quality of life stuff. It's not just a ROM and an emulator. They'd have to put that level of effort into it, and they don't care about Musou. I think they would have done it by now. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong, but I kind of doubt it. The only hopium I have at this point is that they wanted to wait for a more powerful Switch. Age of Imprisonment moved like a lot of copies, actually. He was pretty popular. I don't really think it was that good of a game, but it still did well. The Musou games on Switch all sold like extremely well, so if it was going to happen, it would be like now, basically. Because of Switch 2.
I have found my ancestors. Oh.
I think a remaster would be the bare minimum of what you would expect, but apparently not. I don't know, expecting a new game at this point, I feel like they would need to do like a remaster first. I don't think they jump straight into a new game.
Bonito. Ven aquí, ven aquí.
Oops. A little rusty. Not a 1cc, but still solid. GG's. GG's. I think Dynasty Warriors 10 as a concept is dead. Because Origins did so well. They've already talked about, like, expanding it into a trilogy, so... I'm just curious how that's going to be structured. Like, will they add, like, more playable characters, or just more weapons? I feel like if they just add playable characters, they're just gonna go back to the same problem before, where they have more characters than movesets, and people get upset because their favorite isn't playable, or they are playable but they're cloned. I think it might be better to just, you know, add like a dozen more movesets in each one, so essentially by the third game, which would cover like the Jin era, you know, they could have like 30 movesets or something. I think if they, despite what people want, I think if they go back to having more characters, it's just going to be the same problem. 9 had like 100 characters and it had like 30 movesets. It's like a little bit too much. There don't need to be that many characters. The only benefit from it was the fact that you had more officers to fight, because that was definitely the problem with 7. 7 had the full story, but once you got to the Jin era, you know, everybody was basically dead. So you fought like Yue Ying and Jiang Wei like 800 times. So it'd be interesting to see how they would manage that. See, there I am in the credits right there.
Bonsoir, je suis Bob Lennon.
Yes! Oh man, game of the century right here. TikTok is brain rot anyway. It's a big reason why people's attention spans, especially the younger generation, is like 30 seconds now. Good riddance. Definitely there are people who make really cool stuff on there, but it is definitely a contributor to people's declining attention spans. It doesn't help that YouTube, which I'm streaming on right now, is doing that as well, with basically forcing you to make shorts for your channel to even get noticed. And shorts are basically for people who don't have attention spans. That and doing the AI summaries as well. Like, all that stuff contributes, but TikTok has been doing it, like, way longer. YouTube, basically, right now, if you don't make shorts, you just kind of just go unknown. Because people, the problem with shorts as well is that they don't pay very well, so... I did some shorts a couple weeks ago, and they got like a couple thousand views, but they paid dirt. So it's just a broken system. They want shorts to promote your channel because people have zero attention span. But then, like, also they pay dirt, so it's like praying that people will subscribe off the shorts to watch your long-form content is the meta right now. And of course, that's going to create a bunch of clickbait. That's just how it is. But, yeah, TikTok is mind-numbing. You used to be able to get people to watch, like, 20-minute videos or longer, but now, unless it's like a 5-hour video essay, people just won't watch it. And video essays are 100% carried by people listening to them at work. Or on their commute. That is totally why those are successful. People aren't mostly sitting there and watching a 5-hour video essay on, like, Kingdom Hearts or something. Not in one sitting. You can't say that that's because of bad attention span, just like the amount of time it takes. But, that's like the most popular long-form content right now. That and clickbait. Just like people who stream Path of Exile and Diablo Seasons. They stream for like 16 hours. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's their job. There's nothing wrong with that, but totally a big chunk of their viewership is because people are watching at work or listening at work. That is totally the reason. Yeah, we've let these sites completely destroy our attention span. Especially with, like, gaming and stuff, I think it's actually worse, because, there's just so many games coming out, it's not really possible to play them all anymore. That kind of went out the window a while back. You really have to, you gotta follow people who play the types of games that you like, and it's the only way to stay updated. That's like the only way now. It's a problem for sure. I know a lot of people watch me for, like, roguelikes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I can't blame you. There's so many coming out. Like, which ones are worth playing? Which ones are actually worth playing? And how many are just, like, generic Vampire Survivors clones, or, like, they barely function? There's just not enough time to really play every new release anymore, unless you're only playing AAA. But even at that point, there aren't many great AAA games anymore. It's like they've gotten worse. They've gotten worse and less functional, so you kind of got to expand your horizons and play like different types of games. But you know, even if money is not an issue, the time is. We all have same amount of hours in a day, right? And just because you might be an unemployed teenager doesn't mean that you have infinite time. You still have time. You're still limited by it. And there's just like way too many games coming out for anybody to really keep up. Deleting TikTok is a good choice. That app is mind-numbing. I went on there to look at Super Sentai stuff, and I saw some of the stuff in the sidebar. I'm like, man, I'm really glad I'm not addicted to this. Very mind-numbing. All these social media platforms just really encourage short content. I just feel like on here it's the worst. I don't get why shorts don't pay very much. When they want people to spam shorts. I don't understand it. It's basically Google's version of exposure bucks. 'Cause that's basically what you get from shorts. You get exposure, but like, what is the conversion rate from somebody watching a short to actually subscribing to you and becoming a regular viewer? Because on Reddit, a lot of the popular subreddits, at least the ones for gaming, they heavily enforce not self-promoting that much because people spam it, they get selfish and spam it, and they don't even like interact with the community, just using it as free advertising. But from what I've seen on other subreddits for gaming-related stuff, the conversion rate must be like really bad. I don't think anybody's like actually going on there to watch videos. Unless it's like an official trailer for something, like a movie trailer or a game trailer. Or a new show or something. That seems to be basically it. TikTok has very little value. It felt like Vine was less like that. But problem with short-form content is just like on YouTube and Twitch, people have metagamed how to be successful, and it's come at the expense of honesty. Lying to people is legit profitable. Being honest and passionate about things is not profitable. Everything is like that now. Why there's so many videos about, you know, if you, you eat peanuts or something, your arm's gonna fall off. It's like, your arm's not actually gonna fall off. Maybe don't eat too many of them, but fear-mongering and stuff is really, popular. And I feel like them promoting shorts so much is just perpetuating that problem. I didn't really notice. I did a couple shorts, and I definitely will do more of them, but it didn't, at least for me, it didn't really seem to convert to people like watching regularly. I haven't really noticed much of a difference. I guess it depends. It's already like on YouTube. The subscription bar doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean as much as people think. There are plenty of gameplay channels that post like, full playthroughs and stuff, and their viewership has plummeted. And know for a fact, just from my personal experience, a lot of people who watch stuff don't subscribe. As much as people spam and tell you to do it, most people don't actually subscribe. I think that's kind of the problem with them wanting you to spam shorts to the expense of your integrity and everything. Like, most people just still won't sub. It's like my subscription. I've got like 5 digits of subs, but it doesn't mean anything. Like, how many of those people don't even log into YouTube anymore? How many of those people don't watch me for whatever reason? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I have people I sub to that I don't watch anymore because they don't make things I'm interested in. The number doesn't really mean much. That's why it's funny when some game publishers, they only look at the number. It's like, well, if they're getting good views on that type of game, I think that they're worth a key. I'm not saying that for myself. You know, with Neo 3, I told the community manager, like, hey, these guys may not get, like, that many views, but, you know, they're, like, the perfect candidate to get a key. He is really cool because he doesn't only care about views. He cares about, like, you know, the engagement, actually liking that type of game and stuff. He values those things more, but a lot of the PR companies is just like, you need 8 million subs to get a key. It's like, well, do they even like that kind of game in the first place? Like, just because somebody has a lot of big numbers doesn't mean that they are the best candidate to promote the game. It's really nice that he prioritizes actually liking the game and having a healthy community and stuff. Not just, you know, you've got 8 figures of subs. That's the only thing that matters.
I should take a bite.
I know Bandai Namco, they want, like, I think it's a minimum of a couple tens of thousands of subs to get review keys, which is really hilarious because a lot of their games, especially the anime ones, are like really low quality. Indie studios will give it to like anybody as long as you're like actually active and you put in some effort, but like Bamco's standards are extremely high. Like, I'm sorry, that One Punch Man game ain't it. Like, I shouldn't need like 50k subs to get a key for something like that. I could understand with, like, you know, Elden Ring or something. That's like the highest quality stuff that they publish, but yeah, their expectations are incredibly unrealistic. Seems like it's the same couple of people that get them.
Now for the hard part.
What happened with TikTok? Like, what happened with it? Is it going down? Was it supposed to go down a while ago, but then they like postponed it to like actually going down this time or something? I don't pay attention to that stuff. It's like Facebook is like that now, too. Facebook is AI City. It's trying to solicit money out of people with AI slop. And to the point where you go on your feed and you barely see anybody. You barely see anybody that you actually follow. It's using an algorithm to look at the things that you like and sending you that stuff. Like the few times I go on there, which is barely ever at this point, I don't even see anybody from actual friends. Now a lot of that is because there's been a mass exodus from Facebook to Discord.
Sitting alone with
A lot of people have left Facebook for other services. They've left for like Blue Sky and Discord are like the popular ones right now. But like, I should still see stuff from people I actually know. I should not get a bunch of tokusatsu and gaming stuff. No, yes, I am interested in those things. It's not like the algorithm doesn't understand me, but, you know, I went on there to keep in touch with people. But now the meta is, because of that shift in how it promotes posts and how it doesn't show you things that your actual friends are doing, now there's a whole meta on there of creating the fear-mongering clickbait and stuff. With like AI generated photos and people can't tell. They're totally doing that on there. 100%. I think that's actually a lot worse than TikTok and YouTube for sure. Especially because people are using it to solicit money. Like saying, you know, they're gonna deliver this money to like impoverished children or whatever, and then it just goes in somebody's pockets. That stuff is really despicable, and that's part of the reason why charity donations aren't as lucrative as they used to be, because of stuff like that. you gotta really check if your money is actually going to a charity, or if it's you know, somebody just trying to swindle money out of people. I've seen a lot of stories about, you know, older people getting solicited for money, thinking that they're giving to a charity. It's probably some 20-year-old guy in his basement. It's not going to any good cause whatsoever. It's lining some dude's pockets. He's being dishonest. It's the same thing that happened to Kickstarter as well. It's incredibly hard to get a video game funded on Kickstarter at this point because of all the scams. The people saying that they're gonna make a game and then they go and spend it on a vacation. That actually did happen. What was that game called? Beast Fury? The one that Maximilian dude was involved with? And they totally scammed him. They raised a bunch of money, especially because it was like a furry game. So, you know how much money those people have. And then they didn't deliver a game at all. They did not deliver a game at all. They took the money and ran. How do you think that makes him feel? Because he's a very reputable content creator. He doesn't, you know, take random sponsorships and line his pockets. And he ended up getting his name tied to that. That really sucks. Yeah, I saw that Pizza Kid isn't doing that well. I think the problem is just that they're being upfront about how much money they need. And, the meta on Kickstarter right now, at least for video game related stuff, is you undercut how much you need by an insane amount. Because the way Kickstarter works is essentially, if it's at that point where, like, people are interested in it, right? It's not like there's no interest, but they see that it's probably not going to get funded, they won't donate. And what that causes is a downward spiral, where essentially there is interest in the product and the crowdfunding campaign, but the fact that the goal is so high is preventing people from wanting to donate. It's a very difficult thing to fix, but you know, there's been so many scams, especially in
Let the wind
video
chase
game
them.
related
I
stuff
shall
that
not flee.
I can't blame anybody for feeling like that. That's why stuff like Bloodstained really perpetuated that problem, because they only wanted 500k for Bloodstained, right? That's not near enough to make that game. Everybody complained about the graphics, and they didn't like the art style and everything, but I'm like, regardless how poverty that game looked in some areas, 500k is nowhere near enough. And then they found out that they were
Nothing is the
dishonest.
best thing in life, I think.
They were dishonest. 500k was basically to prove to the publisher that there was interest in that kind of game, because at the time, Metroidvanias were kind of dead. Now there's like dozens of them, but back then, there weren't anywhere near as many. They did not actually need 500k. 500k was not anywhere near enough to make that game, especially with all the ports and stuff. That's nowhere near enough money. But what happened was they saw that it got funded so quick, and then they got a publisher to fund the rest. So Kickstarter is a mess right now because of the scams and everything. You have to like undercut like crazy. This was part of the problem with Mayhem Brawler 2. They only wanted like 30k or something, and that's like nowhere near enough for how ambitious they wanted that game to be. But it looked good that it got funded, right? The problem is that's not actually the amount of money they need. They're not upfront about how much. And I think the problem with Pizza Kid is not that the game is the problem at all. I think it's mostly just that's the amount of money they need to work on it full time. And it's cool that they're being honest, but unfortunately, just like this site where I'm on right now, YouTube, honesty doesn't pay. It's actually better in a lot of cases to undercut how much you need and then just pray that you're going to get as much from the stretch goals as possible to actually fund the game. But asking for how much you actually need is not very wise, unfortunately. It sucks because I actually know the person who's running it. He actually subscribes to me, and it really sucks that it's not doing as well as it should. But this has been something that's been going on for a long time. Dishonesty on Kickstarter has been a problem for a long time. It's basically a marketing strategy now. You can say it got funded in like a day. It's like, is that actually enough money to make the game? Is it actually enough money to make the game? Or are you undercutting, to say that it gets funded? Because that can actually increase how many donations you get instead of telling people what you actually need. Also, the thing about Kickstarter for games right now is you 100% need a demo to even have a chance. If you don't have a demo, people won't donate. Oh, 100% it makes people more willing to donate. The problem is, if they barely reach the goal, and they undercut, then, that doesn't solve the problem, right? You still don't have enough money to make the game. That's the issue. Of course, like, problems can arise as well, You might have, like, a pixel artist or a musician on the game, and they get sick, or there's, like, a falling out with them. Then you gotta hire somebody else. And they might want more money than the initial agreement you came to with that other person that was doing that part of the game. So, not being honest about how much you need can have real problems. I actually think it's quite a bit worse than, it's worse than dishonesty on here. At least on here, it's mostly like, the algorithm doesn't promote honest content. It's got to get people enraged in some way to get noticed. And that's what perpetuates how much clickbait and lying and dishonesty there is on here. On Kickstarter, it's like something like that. There's interest in it, but the goal is too high. It prevents people from wanting to donate because they feel like it's a waste of money. A lot of those successful Kickstarters, even stuff like Shovel Knight, which, you know, they did deliver a good game. It's not like they scammed anybody, but Yacht Club Games was very honest and transparent about, like, that game only raised like 300k. It didn't raise that much money. It was not a runaway success by any extent of that definition. It made decent money, especially for the time that it came out. But keep in mind, they added like 4 new campaigns to that, and then like all this other new stuff, and then porting the game and everything, like, and they supported the game for like a good like 5 years. Like that's nowhere near enough. But people will often use that as an example of a successful Kickstarter. I'm like, well, when you think that, you got to think about like how often do they do steep discounts for that game? Like almost never. Am I soft locked? I think I'm soft locked. Some bug game mechanics here. I can't get up there. What? Am I just full on soft locked? DSP was right. Yeah, I can't get up there. Alright, well, I guess we'll play something else. We'll switch games. It makes more people willing to donate, but it's not a be-all, end-all solution. Now, if something's like 30% done, 30% funded, or like 40 or 50% funded, and it only has like 2 weeks left, the chances of it getting enough donations is very slim. Because people feel like unless some millionaire or something comes in and just finishes it themselves, the goal themselves, that it won't make money. So they don't donate. That is why undercutting on Kickstarter is an unfortunately dishonest, but very viable strategy. People don't even really do it out of malice at this point. I just think Shovel Knight is a garbage example because that campaign made barely anything for how much they added. You know, they essentially made like 3 more full games, and then they added mini games, and then porting it and all that stuff. Like you can't do that on 300k, even if you only have a couple people working on it. Especially because they were working on that game for like 6-7 years. An example of an actual successful one would be, ironically, Mighty Number 9. That game raised like 5 million or something. And you could tell by how shitty the graphics were and the production values, there's no way that game cost 5 million. That would be like an actual successful Kickstarter. Because they raised like way more than they ever needed. Whether the base goal was enough to actually fund the game is up for interpretation, or up for debate, but that would be what I would consider to be a successful one. A lot of times these ones that say they're funded in like a day, that's not even as much money as they need. They need like way more. They need a significant amount of extra money to even make the game. It's just, it looks good to have that, so people will donate more. It's like, you know, I've got the little donation goal going right now, right? I'm being upfront about how much it needs. But if I said it was like $15, just human nature, people would be more willing to donate, right? Because it's not such an unobtainable goal. The Kickstarters, I think, are very dishonest about stuff like that. And all the scams have really made that an issue. You can't say how much money you actually need. You gotta put like this incredibly low amount that's not even enough to deliver the product to even have a chance. And then you also need a demo, and like getting a game to the point where there's actually a playable demo that's more than a couple minutes long is already pretty difficult. You need to have invested a lot of time and money into it already, but there's just been so many scams that, you know, people won't even try. They won't even fund it. They won't donate if there's no demo. I think what's interesting is a demo, at this point, does not even guarantee that the game will actually get delivered. You have a higher chance of getting scammed if there's a demo, but there's a lot of other things that can happen. So I think the problem with the Pizza Kid is, like, that's how much money they actually need, and unfortunately, that's just, it's a hard sell for a lot of people. Last I checked, they need, like 70k more. Really sucks, like, the guy that's the lead on that project actually subscribes to me and said that he really likes my videos. I feel like they did everything right. You know, they're honest about it, how much they need. They're not undercutting like crazy. But people see the big number and they don't want to donate because they think that's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna make it. Pretty much all the major social media platforms just rely on being dishonest to people in different ways. In here, it's like clickbait and rage bait and stuff is way more profitable than actually liking what you're doing and not trying to, you know, enrage people or make them anxious about a topic or something. That's way more lucrative than actually being honest. Kickstarter is very, momentum-based. If you can get good momentum quick, there's a higher chance that it will get funded. But if the momentum dies after, like, the first day, and you don't get any, like, mega rich people donating, like, thousands, then that can kind of, impact the rest of the campaign, like, for sure. Which is why, like I said, they're going for, you know, they might need, like, 50k to make something, but they'll set the goal at, like, 12k, because it has a higher chance that way. Ah, good, we got the tagging. Nice. Let's see here, what do we got? Let me grab the salvo. Well, see, the thing about Fallen Fates, I think they actually didn't undercut that much. They're a very small team, and the reason they want to use Kickstarter in the first place is because they don't want to mess with publishers, which is understandable. But, you know, they've shipped 2 games before, right? You know that they know how to make a game. They know how to manage their expenses and stuff, and the budget, and not let it get out of control. That's definitely a big part of it, too. If you've actually shipped the game before, and you do Kickstarter again, it has a much higher chance than if you're new. Not saying that new people can't make great crowdfunded games, but just by how things work. That's usually how it is. Like, Mina the Hollower 100% did well because they shipped Shovel Knight, but there's been, like, other issues with that game, which is why it's not coming out. But, you know, they had that goodwill. They delivered an awesome game, and they fulfilled all their stretch goals and stuff. They did everything right. But that can go a long way, too. I can totally get not wanting to mess with publishers, because publishers are like devil deals in some ways. Some of the publishers are real shady. They will screw over a game and, you know, the developer takes all the blame when it's actually the publisher's fault that the game wasn't good or something. So, I can get, like, wanting to avoid all that potential drama. You know, what they make is what they make. But yeah, they did deliver, you know, a good game, so I think people are willing to donate to a cause like that. I tried the Super Allied Crush demo? Yeah, I did. It's pretty good. I'll definitely get that game when it releases. Pretty solid. Fallen Fates looks pretty solid. Astral Ascent is actually one of my favorite underrated roguelikes besides this. I think the combat in this game is better, though. The thing I don't like about Astral Ascent is that, like, it's got the entropy effect type thing where you, like, build a moveset from random upgrades, but unlike entropy effect, it doesn't really matter what you pick. It matters to a degree. Mostly, it matters to a degree, like, you know, if you have, like, a bunch of stuff that hits often, it could be nice to build around that because you can make things proc off how many times they hit. But, like, the order that you put things in doesn't matter, so essentially, once you get your build going, you just push the spell button. I would have liked it if, you know, you had, like, your full moveset or something. Or there was, like, more strategy into how you order things, but there really isn't in that game. Like, at all. You kind of just, you put on whatever. The gambits matter more than the spells. And the spells are, like, essentially your whole moveset. I get that that's a hard thing to balance, though. Well, Astral Ascent is still a really good game, but I think that's, like, the core flaw with that game's combat system. There are moves that are better than others. There are ones you don't want to take. Or you may not want to take them depending on what kind of build you're already running, but it doesn't matter as much as something like this. There's a lot more strategy involved with the things that you take that change your moveset than Astral Ascent. Astral Ascent is kind of... You have to pay attention to the gambits, the stuff that you put on your moves. That's, like, more important. The rest does not matter, for the most part. Outside of, like, how much mana do you want to spend? Like, does your full combo cost like a whole bar. You know, you really got to build it around that. The game is solid, though. It definitely deserves more attention. There's supposed to be like Steam Workshop support, so maybe somebody will do like a combat overhaul for that. But I got kind of tired of the formula, to be honest. The build diversity was very good. The boss fights are very good as well, but never really felt like the moves you took made a huge difference compared to other action roguelikes with that same design, kind of like this and Entropy Effect. Absalom to a smaller degree as well, where like those decisions make a huge difference. But yeah, I'll get Super Ally Crush when it releases. The demo is pretty good. Good fight. It's the best thing here. Yeah, I'll take this. I think the interesting thing about Kickstarter as well, going back to that topic, is how crazy the stretch goals were. I'm pretty sure they would, if they could go back in time, they would not have made such crazy stretch goals for Shovel Knight because it took years of work, and what they raised was nowhere near enough to fund that. That's why Shovel Knight, throughout its whole lifespan, was never like steeply discounted. It was basically like a first-party Nintendo game. You know, they do like 20-30% off tops even after it was years old, which for indie games is not common. Indie games often become dirt cheap after like even a year. That's the other thing as well, is how crazy are the stretch goals? Is it just like, you know, a new game plus, or like a new weapon, or like one character or something? Or is it like we're gonna make like multiple campaigns and then all these extra modes and stuff? Like that is crazy. Mighty Number 9, it was mostly promising shit that they couldn't do. Promising it was going to be out on certain consoles and stuff. The 3DS version never came out. I think they promised a Vita one as well. Didn't happen. Stretch goals can get people to donate, but you gotta be sure you can actually do them. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. You know, Jitsu Squad was kind of a unique case, because it wasn't dishonesty, it was a bunch of other stuff that happened behind the scenes. But, like, the stretch goals for that game were very kept under control. They didn't add, like, 16 more characters and promise a 8-hour campaign. Like, they kept the expectations in check. I'm always a little bit weary when they, you know, I see like a game Kickstarter and they promise like a whole new campaign or like a big mode that would take like, you know, a lot of work to do. I'm like, when is that actually going to get delivered? Bloodstained took years, right? It took like 4 years for them to finish everything. Now they did. The only thing that really went down with that was they canceled the Wii U version and they canceled the Vita version because it could barely run. And given how shit the Switch version of that game still is, after all these years, I think that that was a good choice. Like, there's no way that they could have delivered those promises. But it did take years. It took a really long time, so I think it should be stuff that, like, makes people want to donate, but it's gonna take, like, 4 years to finish, because that makes people angry as well. Wonderful 101 was kind of another one. They took like way too long. They took way too long to add that stuff, and then they just went and got a publisher anyway, put it out in stores, so they like never even needed the Kickstarter. They just wanted more money, that's all they wanted. They didn't need it. Mighty Number 9 was trying to be on like 10 different platforms, which greatly affected what they could do. You had to design your game around a 3DS, which even at the time was way weaker than the Vita. That really limits what you can do, the scope of the game. There were a couple Kickstarters like a couple years back where they had to be transparent with people, like, dude, we don't know if we can make this game on the Switch because the Switch is weak. So they said, like, you know, if the Switch successor gets announced, you know, we'll put it on that, but we're not going to promise a Switch 1 version because we don't know if we can deliver. I thought that that was really cool. If I had been interested in those games, I would have donated to them just because of that. Like, yeah, if the game's gonna take like 3 years to come out, is it really worth promising a Switch version when the Switch 2 is way more powerful and it's running pretty much every indie game just fine, even the ones that like didn't get compatibility patches? Like, do you really want to promise that when you can just tell people like, look, you know, the Switch has a higher install base, but we don't know if the game's gonna run. Because that was definitely one of the missteps they made with Bloodstained, was promising that game to come out on the Switch. They did a terrible job. They got stuck in a situation where the Switch version sold more than all the other copies, but it was the worst way to play. Like, it had crazy input lag. Input lag was crazy. The load times were long. It crashed. It was barely 30 FPS. Like, the mobile version was better. I can vouch for this because I bought the mobile version of that game. Like, the mobile version was way better. You get a decent phone and run it better than the Switch version, and it even had controller support. So, smart indie devs avoid overpromising like that. Then it ends up like Bloodstained, where they promised a Wii U and a Vita version. I'm like, dude, there's no way either of those consoles could have ever ran that game. There is no way they could have ran that game, like, at all. They would have had to cut it down so much. It was actually pretty wise that they offered refunds and everything for people that were, like, really wanting that. Nah, there's way worse gaming Kickstarter scams than that, trust me. There's ones that are way worse than that. Red Ash was just kind of a meme because the actual Mega Man Legends game clone that he was making didn't even get funded. And then they made an anime for a game that doesn't exist. Like, just meme-worthy. It's like, the secret level episode of Concord. They expected that to be like the next biggest, game on the market, and then it ended up not being that. So what ended up happening was they already made the episode, and they still had to release it, even though the game was already shut down by that point. Some people were like, oh, they shouldn't release it. I'm like, of course they should. They worked hard on it. It cost a lot of money. It's just the game didn't pop off like they thought, so it's never going to make what they wanted. But yeah, you shouldn't promise. That's the other thing as well. You shouldn't promise a last-gen port when you're starting your Kickstarter and it's like a really old console, and then you're not expecting to deliver the game for like at least 3 years. You should not do that. A lot of the recent gaming Kickstarters that actually were not problematic and got funded were basically telling people like, we can't promise a Switch port. And they don't want to like compromise their vision of the game to put it on, ancient hardware, which sucks for accessibility, but considering what happened with Bloodstained and Mighty No. 9, it was a good idea to do that in retrospect. I don't know what possessed them to think that they could make Bloodstained work on the Vita. The Wii U is even pushing it as it is, but having that on the Vita would have been hilariously bad. Switch port of that game is abysmal, and still is. They patched it up a little bit, but it's still the worst way to play. Like, at this point, if you wanted to play that game on the go, you'd be better off getting the mobile version. The mobile version, they stopped updating it, I guess because it didn't sell, but it is pretty solid outside of that. It's definitely a better experience than the Switch, provided that you have a controller, of course. If you don't have a controller, that's a different story. I don't know. Getting a controller to work on a phone is pretty painless these days. Most modern controllers work on a phone already, just by default. Mayhem Brawler 2, they undercut, like, way too much. The scope of that game meant that they could not make it on that much money, but it looked good to have it funded, right? But given that it got canceled, it's very apparent that what they asked was not exactly what they needed. That game had such a cool concept, but it just cost too much to make, I think, and they weren't really upfront about how much they actually needed. But it looked good because it got funded. It got funded quick, but that was nowhere near as much money as they needed. Holy crap! I love this game, man. Best Scrimblow Bimblow roguelike. Max hits. Hell yeah. Scott Pilgrim, maybe when they show more gameplay. I didn't think the first one was that great, to be honest. That game was only okay. It definitely wasn't God tier. It was alright. You started with such a crap moveset, and then you got a somewhat better one later, but yeah, I didn't care for it much. Hopefully the bosses actually stagger. Oh no, they haven't really shown much on it. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't really get excited for video games until I see some decent unedited gameplay. I'm not really wowed by trailers or just like hey, this game exists. I'm not excited by that for the most part. I'm more excited by, you know, seeing somebody halfway decent play, see what the game is actually like, without all the editing and stuff. And they haven't really done that for that game, so I don't have a lot of interest currently. Time-wise, it should be fine because Dynasty Warriors 3 Remaster got pushed back, so March for me is going to be Rushing Beat X. Rushing Beat X is basically it right now, for what we know of. There's supposedly going to be a Direct next week, so maybe they'll have something, but March looks pretty free. Neo 3 DLC isn't supposed to be until like September, so that'll be interesting. I have a feeling the game probably runs like shit, and that's why they delayed it. It probably runs like shit. They made the boneheaded decision to make a Musou game in Unreal Engine 5. Like, that is just a recipe for disaster. Maybe they got smart and realized how much people will not buy a game just because it's made in that engine at this point. Maybe they realized they're probably scrambling to find a way to make it run well because I think the decision to make make it in that engine is so stupid because people are already really tired of games releasing that barely work. So Super Armor, wow. Whoa. That's pretty crazy. The builds in this game are so fun. Did I get another level? Oh, almost. Still got stuff to unlock, I guess. Huh. Well, if the reason it got delayed is because it barely works, then provided that they can fix it, I'm more than welcome it. Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered. Oh, this is Overrider. I'm gonna call my neighbor and see if they're paying me today, because if not, we're gonna have a problem. Let me go ahead and call my neighbor, see how much longer I can go. I wasn't really expecting anybody to donate, but I gotta see if they're paying me. I sure as hell hope so, because I was kind of relying on that today to get food and stuff. Give me a sec. Alright, good news. Good news. They are paying me today. They are paying me today. Now, you might be wondering why there's a donation link despite getting paid today. Well, the short answer is the game is not available on American stores, so I need to have money in my PayPal to get it. If that wasn't the case, I'd just go buy it right now. But, you know, obviously you can't get gift cards from another region with cash. They pay me with cash, so that's why I know people might be a little bit confused by that, but that is 100% why. I already found the price for it and everything, but it's not something I can pay with cash. Let's see what else I feel like doing. Yeah, I wanted to make sure, because otherwise I would have had to pivot any donations I got into surviving for today, but luckily that won't be the case. So, just wanted to be transparent with you guys, because I tried to be actually honest, unlike a lot of people on social media. I am definitely not living in a mansion. I totally do live in poverty, so just wanted to make sure that was all cleared up first. I'm not really expecting anybody to donate. I can probably get it next week. But, if people want to see it earlier, they're welcome to. But other than that, don't feel pressured or anything. Well, this was supposed to be a tag combo theme stream. Do I have anything else with tag combos to stream right now, or am I just am I tapped out? Let me see what I got. Hold on. I think I met my quota. Yeah, I would have been pissed if they didn't pay me. 'Cause I definitely need it. I need a little bit of money to make it through the next few days, and that's why this is not a survival fundraiser. It's for a game, which is not related to my direct survival. I think I'll do another Streets of Fury run and call it. They're going to be back very soon, and I'm going to go order something to eat, so...
Bonsoir, je suis Bob Lennon.
Come on, get him! Get him!
Droit dans ta queue. Droit dans ta queue.
Dynasty Warriors 3 delay? Yeah. I mean, the game getting delayed like 2 months before it's supposed to come out is not a good sign. That's a very bad sign. At least if it's like not logistics related, like Terminator 2D was an interesting case because the game was done for months. The problem was the collector's editions that they were selling. They couldn't get the physical goods. But like, the game itself was finished and like clearly came out and didn't have any issues, but like, that's not the case with this, right? There is no collector's edition. I think the game barely works. And I think it's pretty apparent that there's supposed to be a stream for it tonight, I think. If I'm awake, I don't know what time it's gonna be in my time zone. Usually Japan stuff is like, Japan stuff is like 3 or 4 a.m. my time. I don't know. You don't, like, delay games that have had, like, no gameplay. There's been barely any gameplay. It's supposed to be out in 2 months. Getting delayed is a pretty bad sign. I'm not gonna lie.
Come on, get it!
Yes, this is a very powered French game. And they just added Warrior Orochi tagging to it. So, yeah, it's even more powered now. Nice! Hell yeah. Oops. If you have a Steam account, you should buy this now because it is literally $1. Like, totally buy it and wait. Hold on, my neighbor's on the phone.
Come on!
Sorry about that phone call. How did it freeze? Ah, I see. Why'd that happen? There we go. Thank you. What is going on with this game? I don't know how to fix that. It just like completely stopped working. Let's try something else. I am way too hungry to do tech support right now. Let's try something else here. I don't know why it's doing that. It's like maybe the game capture source got messed up or something. It's all right. I'm about to end stream anyway. It's not a big deal. Give me a sec. See if this is a problem with the streaming software. Maybe XSplit is freaking out with that game or something. I don't know. Give me a moment. They're going to be home very soon anyway, so I'm probably going to stop. Probably going to stop and go get something to eat. Give me a sec. I'll definitely do more of this fundraising later. After I get something to eat. Let's see. Ah, yeah, it's fine now. It is an old game, so I'll have to fix that later because I wanted to do some runs. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, this is still messed up, huh? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you know, I get easily frustrated, but I get more frustrated when people don't speak up when something's broken. Most of the time, it's very easy to fix, and I don't want you guys to be looking at a black screen or something like that. So don't feel like you can't tell me something like that. If it makes me chrono triggered, then I'll just stop streaming. It's that simple. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. They're gonna be home very soon. Actually, let me see if I can fix Streets of Fury. Let me see if I can fix this. I might just need to do like a window capture, because I think the game capture is messing with it. Let's see if I can fix this really quick, because I do want to play this. Yeah, I see what you're saying here. It's bugging out like when I tab out. So let me see if there's a way that I can fix this. So I did want to do some runs of this, otherwise I might just have to play this on kitty sitting streams. Alright, I think it's fixed now. I think I fixed it. See? It's pretty painless.
Come on!
I just need to know that something's wrong, otherwise I can't fix it. Let's see, are we good now? Yeah. I guess XSplit auto-detect game source does not like Streets of Fury EX. It's got some kind of prejudice against French beat-em-ups. I don't know why. I never had this problem before, but now it's fine. Alright. Yeah, thank you for letting me know.
Rocket kick! Rocket kick!
Alright, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. Glad I got that fixed. So I do want to do some runs of that, and I'm not going to be working at my neighbor's house for the next couple days because they've got some stuff to do with their house. So would be nice to play that at home because I did a run the other night. I did Absalom and I did Streets of Fury, and I had no problem. So worst case scenario, I just stream it over there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. They're going to be paying me imminently, and I have not eaten since. I haven't eaten in like 24 hours outside of snacks, so I need to go get that taken care of. The Neo 3 videos are going to be out in like less than 20 minutes, so if you want to see some of that game, go ahead and check my channel in about 15 minutes. Keep in mind, it's not like full, cutscenes and every boss and stuff like that. I don't like doing stuff like that because everybody does that frame one. I think that guides and stuff are more useful than trying to speedrun getting all the cutscenes up. I didn't even record them. I played through the game blind. I did not do that, but I got a performance video up, and then I do have a ninja style. It's kind of not the best guide because I'm heavily limited by the embargo. But I am working on end game stuff. I've gotten a little bit into the end game, but not enough to get a guide. So streams might be sporadic until I get a little bit farther than that, because I've still got about a week before it comes out. So depending on how long that takes, streams might be a little bit sporadic and less common than usual because I can't stream that. So if I do get Disgaea Musou, whether you guys fund it or I pay for it myself, we'll definitely check that out. But other than that, I'm fully focused on Neo 3 content currently. So let me get that done. I'll definitely be back later today, and we'll probably do some more tag combos to try to raise some funds. But I'm not really expecting anybody to donate. It's nice if people do, but it might be best for me to pay for it myself anyway, because I don't know how good the game is. And then also, the language barrier is going to be extremely strong. I don't know if it has English. I know that they said... The only thing I could find was there was a tweet, like, back in November saying that it was supposed to come later, and they didn't say when. So, not getting it funded right now is not really the end of the world. I'm not really expecting it. I would like to cover it just to be done with the Musou on Switch 2 video. But worst case scenario, I'll probably get it next week. So I'm going to go eat. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. After I finish eating and everything, I'll definitely come back and we'll do some more non-Neo 3 gaming. But yeah, in like less than 15 minutes, the Neo content's going to drop. So stay tuned for that. See you later.